Okay, so in the last video we were looking at a variety of things. We saw Jupiter rotating like this, understanding how quick the rotation is, just 10 hours for this huge planet to rotate once. There's also the belts and the zones, and of course the big red spot, the big red eye, which is a 400-year storm on Jupiter. You can see the size of the big red eye here in comparison with the size of the Earth. As we mentioned in the very initial video on Jupiter, Jupiter is just huge. And we started to get a little curious about what would happen if we approached Jupiter, say with the Galileo mission there. So there's sort of a space probe getting closer. You would start to see this cloud deck or this cloud cover here as you got closer and closer. And this is a view of, say, just above Jupiter's surface here. There's some stars in the background, the clouds that you would start to approach. And so one of the interesting things about Jupiter is also it has a use for us in terms of traveling through the solar system. So it turns out then that if we want to explore, say, the entire solar system, there's no rocket that's powerful enough to reach the outer solar system at all. And so what Jupiter has done for us in the past is helps with these things called gravity assists. And I'd like to talk about that in relation to this Galileo mission. But before I get to the gravity assist, let me just show you a video of the Galileo mission because it gives sort of a artist's mock of what it might look like if you were on the Galileo probe, you started descending into Jupiter's atmosphere. So this is the Galileo probe here that actually was sent down to fall into Jupiter's atmosphere and take measurements and things as it went. And an artist's rendition might look like this. You would just start to hit that cloud cover, and here's the Galileo probe, maybe with a parachute behind it. There's some of the lightning that we discussed sort of going down. And this all happened, by the way, in September 2003. And so I'd like to dub a video in now that I'll do credit then for. This comes from the Science Channel. And here's the original link for it, but I'll go ahead and dub the video right after this sequence so you can just get right into it. So just sort of give you an idea about what it would be like then if you were on a space probe, you approached Jupiter, and it even started to descend into its atmosphere. So it's quite good. So take a look.
The Galileo probe orbited Jupiter for years, looking at the cloud tops of the planet and the moons that orbit it. But at the end of the mission, they decided they could do one more scientific experiment.
December 7th, 1995. NASA's Galileo spacecraft drops a 750-pound titanium probe into Jupiter's atmosphere. It slams into the cloud tops at over 106,000 miles an hour.
Even though Jupiter looks calm and serene from a distance, as you get closer, you realize that there are ferocious winds, there are lightning storms, and there are pressures that would crush any instrument.
The planet is 1,000 times the mass of the Earth, and that means as you go inward, the pressures and densities become very large.
The probe sensors reveal that hydrogen makes up 90% of Jupiter's atmosphere. Temperatures soar to over 300 degrees. Winds rage at 400 miles an hour. It's hotter and more turbulent than scientists ever imagined. 58 minutes after entering Jupiter's atmosphere and just 95 miles down, the probe vaporizes, leaving most of Jupiter's secrets beyond our reach.